Hi everyone, I'm trying something new because now I've realized that to see the live chat, that means that I can't edit anything, and the built-in free countdown is a little tacky. So let me know. Can y'all hear me? Let me know if you can hear me, and if so, hi everyone. And look at y'all. Y'all are so timely. I'm gonna get there. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's nice to see all of you. Hey James, hey Jace, hey S Davis, hey Sapphire Princess. Hi Jonathan. Awesome. Okay. Hi Abe. Can all of you hear me? It always takes a second to chat, and then I'm sitting here like, well, hope you can hear me. I'm talking. Okay. I think you good? Okay, good. Great. So also to note for myself, this is the third video you've gotten in 3 days. That's a lot. But yeah, look at us. We're whistling and riding. Because last month was stressful at work, so y'all didn't get as many videos. So I'm trying to catch up. Well, go on, Simone. So yeah, this is the part 2 to the Jay-Z and Damon Dash Roc-a-Fella lawsuit that I promised y'all last week, because I was waiting for Damon to respond in court. He responded to TMZ, which, you know, I want to see the court documents, and he did. So we are going to go through that. It was quite interesting. Also, this will be a nice reprieve. We've been doing some heavy topics, so, you know, 2 middle-aged men fighting is kind of comical to me. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so let's get into this. All right, let me move my slides over. Okay, so first we're gonna start with, hold on one second. Actually, y'all know that I can't like CC, so hold on, let me open up the extra slide so I can see it, or if not, you're gonna just see my forehead leaning in as usual. Okay. Okay, here we go. So now I can see. So we're going to talk about the NFT. Is there an NFT? Isn't there an NFT? What the hell is going on with this NFT? We're going to do the rebuttals. So Damon's rebuttals, the court filings, the judge's ruling. They have gone back and forth for quite a while in 2 weeks. And then a potential settlement. And then we'll do some discussion and sit. All right. So let's get into it. Okay. So is the NFT a ruse or not? And now that I'm looking at that, I'm like, is that how you spell ruse? Things that you do when you're doing 10 other things. Anyways, so basically what happened after we did the original lawsuit, I don't know if you're gonna feel bad for him by the end of this, but after we did the original lawsuit when Roc-a-Fella filed against Damon Dash, just a quick recap in case you didn't watch that video. Basically, Roc-a-Fella and Jay-Z decided, and we're under the assumption that Damon Dash was going to sell a minted NFT to sell the copyright to Reasonable Doubt. This is the cover for Reasonable Doubt, which is Jay-Z's first album. Okay, so it was Roc-a-Fella suing Damon Dash. Jay-Z technically was not suing him. It was the entity that owned Reasonable Doubt. Okay, that entity is Roc-a-Fella. I'm just going to paraphrase really quick. Hi, Kelly. Jay-Z, Damon Dash, and is the man's name Biggs? I'm having like a brains feast. Their other friend, there was 3 of them, owned only 3 shares to Roc-a-Fella. So you can watch that video. In the first video, that's all covered. And basically, Roc-a-Fella, the entity, sued Damon Dash saying like, hey, I own this. You don't own the copyright. You cannot sell the copyright. To which Damon Dash then went to the blogs and was like, I never tried to sell that. I wanted to sell my 1/3 stake. So we're going to get into the various legal motions that happened since then, and we'll get into Damon's side of the things. Okay, great. Exactly. Their petty need will continue until they're 85, and I plan to enjoy every moment. Listen, this is such a nice reprieve from us talking about all of the very interesting, very important, but very depressing topics we've been talking about the past couple of weeks. So yes. All right. So the judge then granted Roc-a-Fella a restraining order saying like, hey, Damon Dash, you cannot sell the NFT, which the NFT is a non-fungible token. Well, it's questionable the validity of NFTs, but it's a non-fungible token, which basically you can capture the IP in something in the NFT. So the judge ruled and said like, hey, you cannot sell this. No. So this is an excerpt from Variety, and basically saying Dash, though, is maintaining that Roc-a-Fella misunderstood what he was planning to put up for sale, which never did get to the auction stage before it was yanked. He's insisting that Roc-a-Fella's lawsuit is a smokescreen and inaccurate, and that he is not attempting to sell any of Jay-Z's albums, but rather his entire share of the Roc-a-Fella label. Because remember, there's only 3 shares in this label, and the most important asset of this entire company is this album. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. All right, so this is going to be Damon Dash's declaration of opposition. I'm going to preface this a little bit. It's a little bit different than the court documents we've seen. This is essentially a letter from him. So I think, to be honest, he should have filed a countersuit. Would have been better. A declaration of opposition, you'll see the way it's worded. It's not the most professional, which doesn't put him in the best light, particularly because the 2 law firms that he's arguing against that Jay-Z hired for Roc-a-Fella are top-notch New York law firms. So just so you know, because you're going to realize it's a little bit different than what we're usually looking at. All right. I, Damon Dash, hereby declare that the following statements are true under the penalties of perjury. So these are his statements, which of course he probably had them reviewed by a lawyer, but I think it could have been a little better. All right, so Mr. Dash's rebuttal. Oh, this is not from The Guardian. Hold on. That's from one of the other things we were doing. This is what happens when you just copy and paste the slides over. All right. So, as a preliminary matter, I do not oppose any branch of the motion that seeks me or any RAF shareholders from altering in any way, selling, assigning, pledging, encumbering, contracting with regard to or in any way disposing of the reasonable doubt copyright, as I do not own the copyright, nor have I ever represented that I do. So, he's like, hey, I don't know why you're confused. I didn't say I owned it, because that's what the court documents claimed. All right, so we're going to skip over to paragraph 7. Moreover, even after its corporate formation, I retain this exclusive authority as the initial and sole director and CEO president of RAF, whereas to the best of my knowledge, neither Jay-Z or Burke, that's the third person, sorry, whose name I couldn't remember, so he's the third shareholder, have ever been duly appointed as an officer, director, or otherwise authorized party. So he's saying hey, I know this is a defunct company that we really, we've been mad at each other for many years. We don't talk to each other. But to my knowledge, I still run this. So I don't know what y'all are doing. Okay. Oh my gosh, it said The Guardian on all of them. I copied all these slides. Hold on. This is going to drive me crazy. Which one are we on? Okay, whatever. I thought it's because I have to refresh it. Okay, let's refresh. Here we go. Because I was wondering, I was like, why does it still say that? Okay. And present. All right. So it then further goes on, make sure I'm in order. Okay. It then further goes on as to basically Damon Dash calling Jay-Z a liar. Being like, listen, I don't know where you got this from, but that's not what I told you. So let's get into this. So basically, paragraph 9. So there's no documentation that precludes me. So me is Damon Dash. Again, since this is a declaration, he's writing it in the first person. I think it would have been more powerful for him to have, the attorneys just scrap with each other. But hey, that precludes me from selling, encumbering, or transferring my 1/3 interest in RAF and Jay-Z's frantic efforts to attain my 1/3 interest. Paragraph 9, as plaintiff's moving papers make clear, RAF still owns 100% interest to reasonable doubt copyright, much like I own my 1/3 interest in RAF. Okay, accordingly, as co-owner of RAF with an undisputed 1/3 shareholder interest in RAF, I had and still have the ability to sell, encumber, transfer my shares in RAF without interference from RAF or any of its shareholders. This is his assumption. However, the corporate documents would show, the articles of incorporation, particularly the bylaws of RAF, would show whether or not he's actually allowed to do that, which neither of them, and all the documentation they provided, neither of them provided the bylaws. So that, we'll see about that. All right, paragraph 11, to that end, I attempted to sell my 1/3 interest in RAF in or around March of 2020, and none other than Jay-Z, by and through his personal counsel, the law firm of Reed and Smith LLP, which is a huge law firm here. It's an international law firm, but particularly here in New York, offered to purchase that interest. Nevertheless, since his offer was far below the market value of the interest, as Raph owns the copyright to one of the most unique, critically acclaimed, iconic debut albums in music history, i.e. Reasonable Doubt. What a nice backhanded compliment, because very interesting. It's not his album, but he did work on it. This is his, as someone pointed out to me, I think JT did. This is, Damon Dash's claim to fame as well. I declined to move forward with any such sale to him. So paragraph 15. At no time did I represent to Superfarm. Superfarm is the NFT auctioneer. Think of Superfarm, the gift. Listen, I love the gift. There are lots of gifts. I'm getting better at technology. But Superfarm, think of Superfarm as digital Sotheby's. I don't know if they're as big as Sotheby's, but same concept. They sell things. They auction off things. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. At no time did I, Damon Dash, represent a Superfarm that I owed 100% of the RD copyright, indirectly or directly, or that I wanted to mint an NFT based on said copyright. Now, if you watch the prior video, Superfarm sent out a press release. They sent out all this like advertising and whatnot. So we're going to get into how did y'all not communicate this properly? Like, somebody's lying. Somebody is lying. And Damon here is saying that is Jay-Z. Okay. Instead, our understanding and agreement was to mint a hologram, which in turn would be a digital representation of my 1/3 interest in RAF, nothing more. For reasons unknown, in anticipation of the NFT auction, Superfarm prepared some internal memos, which included the documentation identified in Exhibit B to the complaint. To be clear, I had no involvement in the creation of the document, which I understood to be non-public and internal. You know what? That is a great way to talk around what actually was a press release that we all saw. So that, which is what spurred the lawsuit. It's not like they sent it to Jay-Z specifically. They sent out the press release, and then Jay-Z and his lawyers were like, hey, what are you doing? What is this? So I think it's good positioning on his end to be like, oh, that's internal. Like, I don't work at Superfarm. I don't know what they're doing, but that's not what I told them to do. Do I think it's the strongest argument? No, which Jay-Z's lawyers are about to rip it to shred. Exactly, a hologram. Again, the NFT business, I don't really get it. We've talked about this. If you want to, and in doing my research, the more I researched it, the more I was like, this is not going to last. This is not I don't think it's going to hold up. There's no legal basis to bind actual IP to a hologram or to any type of digital asset. So particularly selling your stake in a company. But hey, thank you, Jace. Thank you. I mean, basically, it's giving Joanne, if y'all remember Joanne. Which you should remember Joanne. I was Joanne twice for Halloween. Joanne the scammer is the best. All right. We are not. We're too poor. Maybe it's like rich people play with holograms. I have no idea. Y'all know my student loan bill is definitely not there. Okay, so now, this is where it's very clearly written by someone else who's not an attorney. This could have gotten tapered down, but I do enjoy the petty writing. So paragraph 21, this court should be made aware of the tactics Jay-Z and his counsel have been using to tortuously interfere with my rights to sell, transfer, otherwise dispose of my 1/3 interest in RAF. I think, from gauging from what we're going to read, I think Damon, said all he wanted to say, and then the attorney kept in all the spicy parts and was like, oh, this is going to be great. I mean, it did give me a good chuckle. Paragraph 23. So if anyone is getting desperate or frantically making moves to try and get the interest at issue, it is Jay-Z. And it is he who should be stopped by this court from unlawfully using his personal counsel to file lawsuits in the name of RAF to prevent me, Damon Dash, I'm adding Damon Dash because it's in the first person, so you know who we're talking about, from doing what I am lawfully allowed to do, i.e. sell my interest to RAF to whomever by any means and for whatever price. Child, it's literally them having a dramatic argument through court documents, which is very interesting. All right. And then to JC, not back when he was wanting to cut him out. I'm sure with the actual breakup of The Roc, he got his share. He was locked up for a minute also. Yeah, he's leaving out certain things in here, which, listen, quite interesting. All right. So then, not to be belittled, or actually, I think he just annoyed Jay-Z's lawyer. Jay-Z's lawyer issued I have to pull it up. I think it's almost 100 pages of literal receipts. Hey, David, because I think he's annoyed with this man. And was like, you know what? You want to tell me that I can't represent both and you want to come at my credibility as a lawyer? So he decided to read him for filth. which we are going to read some of it, not all of it, because some of it is actually very personal. And this is a commentary channel, not a drama channel. But y'all, trust me and know that all of his business is out in these court documents. Okay, so this is the letter from Quinn Emanuel. So he has two attorneys. This is from Alex Spiro. This is the attorney that specifically Damon Dash was like, well, you're his personal attorney. You can't represent him. Okay, so dear Judge Cronin, I represent Roc-a-Fella Records. At the hearing yesterday, the court asked, what other evidence does plaintiff RAF Inc. have that Mr. Dash was in fact trying to sell the copyright interest in the album Reasonable Doubt? In response, I referenced, among other things, facts that show Dash has a significant financial motive to sell RAF Inc.'s rights in Reasonable Doubt. For example, I stated that Dash has several judgments and liens against him. Child, I brought up this man's financial history. That Dash has admitted he has no salary or income. Oh, goodness. And that Judge Jed S. Rakoff found his testimony to be unworthy of belief in another lawsuit pending in this district. So the record is complete. I write to provide the documents supporting these statements. So then the rest of the entire documentation, we're going to go through the ruling on whether or not Jay-Z's personal lawyer, as Dash is calling him, can also represent RAF. We're going to go through the judge did rule on that. The rest of the entire documentation is receipts to basically prove that Damon Dash has no money, honey. Listen, his business on Front Street, like he personally offended this man. I was at first, so if you guys follow me on Instagram at Wine and Chill, I'm doing better. I'm adding more content. But on Instagram, I was like, oh, we'll cover this. This will be quick. And then we'll cover the Smile Direct case that some of you asked me for that I owe you. And then, we'll do more of ProPublica because they released some more information. The minute I opened this, I was like, well, I guess we're getting to one thing because, child, the messiness of middle-aged men never ceases to amaze me. Also, can y'all hear any background noise? Let me know, because if not, I'll try get rid of it. It's so petty. The levels of petty you're gonna see. We're gonna get into some of it, not all of it, because I do feel uncomfortable putting all his business. I'm not gonna put his alleged liens and debts on the screen, but we'll talk about the rulings against him. Those fine. All right. So let's get into this. Girl, listen, child, I cannot. Okay. Hi, Dory. Okay, hold on. I'm like, where am I going? Blood honey, don't tell the story. All right, so this is Judge James. The guest brought me a lot of joy. Okay. Are we in order? Hold on. Okay, yep, we're back to this still, sorry. So attached, this is just a summary of what he attached in his pettiness, Mr. Spiro. I would never want to cross Mr. Spiro after reading this. Attached as Exhibit B is a list of currently known judgments and liens against Dash. The exhibit, just so y'all know, is literally almost 10 pages long. And it's written in 12-point font, just to put into context how many things they're alleging he owes money to. Okay, cool. Attaches Exhibit C is June 26, 2019 declaration submitted by Dash and Brooks v. Dash, in which he states, among other things, that his working capital and source of income is essentially gone, and that it would cause great financial strain if he were required to travel to Boston for a deposition. Yes, I did check the reference. Yes, that is what he declared in his declaration that he signed. Child, again, it's Alex Spiro putting it all together like, look at you. You wanted to play? Let's play. All right, attaches Exhibit D is a November 12, 2019 declaration submitted by Dash in Brooks v. Dash, in which he states, among other things, that he does not have a salary or income. He did not have to do this to this man. That his income streams have all been garnished or restrained. Oh my God. And that it is very difficult for him to address his mounting bills. When grown middle-aged men fight, they really fight. In a way that is just, wow. Listen, Spiro said, play stupid games with That man said, you came at me ethically? You were going to tell the bar I did what? I have done nothing. Watch me and you. I feel a little sorry for him. Because after reading that, I was like, you know what? Let the man sell his interest. Y'all don't want to do business with him anyway. Come on. The money is looking a little funny. Okay, So next, hold on. Sorry, because this is continuing on. All right. Attached is Exhibit E. In January 31st of 2020, order from Brooks v. Dash. These are all lawsuits, which unfortunately Damon Dash is a party to. And his company, Poppington LLC, had failed to comply with the terms of the court's injunctions, even though the court had given Dash a clear directive. Attached is Exhibit F. I told y'all this was very long. At our April 14, 2020, findings of fact and conclusion of law from Brooks v. Dash, this is the same lawsuit, in which Judge Roc-a-Fella found Dash's testimony to be unworthy of belief. Judge Roc-a-Fella noted that Dash repeatedly disrupted the trial testimony by shouting out answers to questions directed at witnesses, loudly accusing the witness of lying. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm just trying to imagine this man sitting in court and being like, "You're lying! You're lying!" Like, sir, this is not a movie. You can't interrupt witnesses when they're on the stand. And also, y'all know judges have little patience. I did like a judicial clerkship when I was in law school for a judge, and judges have no patience. When I tell you, like, they are all about, it's called CivPro, Civil Rules of Procedure. Like, there are rules how you act with decorum in a courtroom. There are rules like, here are the motions to file, here are this, but also every court has like the judge's rules. So I know that judge was mad. I know that judge was annoyed. Listen, Damon said he's on an episode of Law Order. First of all, oh, exactly. And that's what they're trying to say. I mean, being broke is a good reason to sell his interests, if any. And they're using that as like, hey, he has motive. This man has no money. So that's why he tried to sell the interest to the album. To which Damon was like, no. I'm selling my interest to the company, which they should just let him sell his interest to the company. Just let it be. Let it be. Nozuka said, "Oh no, I want to be in a court when his case is on. Judges will sort you out." Listen, judges yell at people. Like, it's just a funny thing because they're usually of a certain age. So you have like this usually of a certain age. There are some young judges usually of a certain age, though, particularly federal court, as they're appointed for life. And they're sitting there and it's a raised platform. And child, I've seen like my judge one time, somebody came in and they couldn't figure out how to enter evidence. You have to enter evidence a very specific way. So you have to proof the evidence. So say, is this blah, blah, is this the earring that you found on so-and-so and blah, blah, blah. So you have to enter it. I'm entering this Exhibit F, and the attorney, I don't know if he might have been having off day. Like, I feel really bad for trial attorneys. Like, it's a rough job. He didn't enter it properly. So the judge kept being like, denied, like yelling it at this man to the point where I just kind of sat there and I was like, I just want to shrink. Like, sir, do you want me to do it for you? Like, just get this together. Because he was just reaming him out. The man's shirt was wrinkled, everything, the attorney. Like, he clearly like must have missed his train. Like everything in his day was going wrong. The judge just sat there. Denied. Do you not know how to enter evidence? I was like, oh my God. Some of them can be very mean. Like, some of my trial attorney friends have specific judges they hate going in front of. So when they say that Dame was doing these things, the judge was annoyed. Yes. All right. So JT said, Jay and Dame are fighting like parents over a custody of a child. They are. And then on the Come Up TV, he gets everything he deserves. I don't wish none of this on him, but he never brought all this. But he brought all this onto himself. People never forget when someone disrespects them. Never. Listen. And by people, Alex Spiro is clearly not the one or the two, honey. Not the one or the two. Okay, let's continue because Mr. Spiro was not done. There is more. Okay. All right, said they were lying and repeatedly making gestures and uttering unpleasant noises. What does that mean? What are unpleasant noises in a courtroom? Oh, child. Or the fourth or the fifth. The fifth or the sixth, Jace. Okay. Attached as Exhibit G is a May 16th, 2020 memorandum order in Brooks v. Dash in which Judge Roc-a-Fella stated that he had no confidence in Dash's ability or willingness to pay the judgment, and that the collection process for plaintiff will be challenging and complex. Not Judge Roc-a-Fella being like, looking at you, seeing this, seeing how you act, not a cent is to be had. Judge Roc-a-Fella seems quite comical as well, and quite somebody to watch. All right. And then two more. Attached at Exhibit H is an April 28th, 2001. So this is the other day order. And the only reason I'm reading slow and I'm leaning in because, Shal, you know, I made it too small again, so I cannot see. Actually, let me see if I can zoom it in a little bit bigger so y'all can stop seeing so much of my forehead. Okay. Nope, that's not helping. All right. Attached Exhibit H is an April 28th, 2021 order re plaintiff's motion for a partial summary judgment in Budden v. Dash. Oh, now this is a different lawsuit in which the Honorable Dolly M. Gee ruled that it was undisputed that Dash had participated in obtaining the property of a photographer that he hired and then failed to return it upon request. Accordingly, Judge Gee held that Dash had wrongfully dispossessed the plaintiff of her property. Are you taking cameras? Like, what did you take? Lord Jesus. All right, continue. Attached as Exhibit I is a November 20th, 2019 article from the Daily Mail. First of all, the Daily Mail is not credible, but okay, Spiro, I was with you until this. Reporting that Dash was arrested in connection with $404,000 in unpaid child support. Wait a minute. First of all, the Daily Mail is not credible, so I don't know why he included that. But second of all, for you to bring up this man's child support, alleged child support, listen, Spiro said, I'm going to put it at the end for spice. He said, everything else I have the court documents for. This Daily Mail article is just me being petty because this man pissed me off. Alleged child support, sir. And what's even funnier than that is because all the citations are so succinct and correct, which as in he had a younger associate likely do it. If, and I'm going to say if because I refuse to cite the Daily Mail, if those claims of child support are true, he could have easily found the court case. He just wanted to be petty and cite the Daily Mail. Listen. All right. And then Jay-Z, I don't think Dame gets a fair rap for how he handled business. He could have had a little more chill, but he did have to fight to make a way for them in the music industry. This is true. I think, however, though, these are two grown men. And how do you have all these judges, these old crotchety judges annoyed? I think at a certain point he could have learned to have some coots and he just has decided to choose violence. To which Spiro said he will also choose a little razzle and a little violence back with him. Woo! All right, so next. Okay. So now we're going to get into the ruling whether or not Spiro can actually represent Roc-a-Fella, because that was a big point of contention for Damon Dash. Okay. All right. Also, so this is all from the judge. Also, I should note for anyone in the well of the courtroom, it is certainly your choice, but if you are vaccinated, you are welcome to take off your mask. I don't want to be the only one who is taking advantage of our new rules over here. I just thought it was funny, child. For him to be like, hey, okay, y'all making me feel like I'm an anti-vaxxer. Like, I can't be the only one. Come on, pop it off. Okay, so next, so this is Spiro saying that it is a moot point of whether or not that he can represent Raf. And then this is what he's saying. Okay. Oh, I'm going to read through your comments really quick. I'll read through this and then we'll read through your comments. Okay. I would tend to agree with Mr. Spiro, at least at this point. Obviously, if things change, we could revisit this issue if appropriate. And this is whether or not Spiro can represent both Raf and JC. Let me briefly state for the record my reasons. In the Second Circuit, disqualification of an attorney on a case usually is ordered in two types of cases. One is where there is a conflict of interest that violates either Canon 5 or Canon 9 of the Code of Professional Responsibility. Professional responsibility and ethics is this test you have to take like at the end of law school. And then you have to keep looking it up to make sure you're not doing anything wrong. And that conflict undermines the court's confidence in the vigor of an attorney's representation of a client or interest. And in fact, it appears that Mr. Carter's interests are aligned with the plaintiff's interests. So the plaintiff, remember, is Roc-a-Fella. The mere fact of joint representation does not raise the risk of trial taint when an attorney represents two or more clients who are similarly situated with regard to a lawsuit, and if there are a number of cases that support that. Just to cite one from this district, Bulkmatic Transport Company v. Papas. It's a 2001 case in this district and a 2001, and then the citation. So basically he said like, hey, he could represent them, like it's totally fine. So this is a moot point. Okay, so let me go through your comments real quick. Okay. JT Writer, Dame Def handled all the business. People downplay the role he had. Okay. And then Kevin, sorry, my nose running. Y'all know I still have not figured out the AC situation in this room. We got an AC. It doesn't work. So I have to get a window AC and now my nose is going to be red. So it's hot in here. Okay. If you watch the show Growing Up Hip Hop LA, he is rude and mean to his kids, yelling and cussing at the producer and acts like he's better than everyone. I mean, judging by the way he talked to a judge, I'm not surprised by that. Can you imagine what does making inappropriate noise in a courtroom mean? Like, I want to know. I wanted the pettiness in him to have write it out. All right. And then here we go. Dame might have problems with the fact remains that he owns a third. He definitely does. Yes. No one can take that away from him. However, someone needs to buy it from him because he doesn't want it anymore. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Okay. And then Nozuko said, I love Spiro's pettiness. It's required to make people put some respect on your name. Sometimes it makes the other party remember the dispute at hand. Spiro took Dash's edges here. Listen, he did. He was like, it's not about me. It's about what you did. So stop trying to bring my name into it. And if not, okay, cool. Let's cite the Daily Mail. I'm not going to get over him citing the Daily Mail. That's a different level of pettiness. Some of these older attorneys really have it in them. Okay, so let's go. All right. So now we're going to talk about, so after the judge said, okay, Spiro can be on this case, that doesn't disqualify him, that's fine. Then Spiro then went into and was like, okay, so Dame said this was a miscommunication and that this should be an internal memo and that he never tried to sell the copyright. Spiro did not accept that answer. He said, I don't believe you. I think you're doing it on purpose because you have no money, according to Spiro and according to a bunch of documents. I think that you don't have any money and that's your motive to do this. And then he came at his neck because the judge was like, okay, so this is a moot point then. And Spiro said, no, it's not a moot point. Actually, we'd like to talk about this, to which then we have here. All right. So I must have misunderstood Mr. Dash when I wrote into the press release 5 times exactly what he was aiming to sell. Mind you, this is Spiro saying he spoke to Superfarm. This is what Superfarm said. So then Superfarm then side snitched on Damon Dash and was like, okay, like you're not gonna call me a liar. Like, I guess I heard you wrong. That was a huge miscommunication. The pettiness of all the people involved in this is, wow. The pettiness of this could fuel a city. That is not what they said. You know what they said? Mr. Dash told us he owned this. That's what they said. Now, mind you, we are in a court hearing. So this is, first of all, this is not the actual, like, this is the hearing between, like, this is not the trial. So this is him just trying to argue his motion, like, hey, like, we're not dropping it. We're still suing him for trying to say that. I don't care if he said he wasn't trying to say that. We're still suing him. He's not getting out of this, which I think it's interesting. Like, he's not going to let this go. Basically, Jay-Z and Roc-a-Fella, they're not going to just be like, oh, you didn't actually mint it. That's fine. I'm still mad at you, which is interesting. This is all hearsay, though. He's basically saying, like, okay, they told me, etc. If it gets beyond this, then they would actually introduce witnesses. They would depose Superfarm and be like, okay, show me the emails that Damon Dash told you this. Give me the phone calls, like what was actually said. This is all hearsay, but Spiro is doing this to be petty. And then also to put in the record, like, I don't believe this man, and we're still moving forward. All right, so next, in addition, you will notice that Mr. Dash in his declaration, so the declaration was what we had went through previously, talks about how Superfarm had advertisements that they were going to halt, right? The fact, and mind you, this is the court reporter. This is the court. I didn't know he was Bayesian. Interesting. So this is the court reporter is writing this down. So in oral arguments, you're basically just talking. So this is why this is going to sound very conversational. So that means that the auction house is so confident that this auction is happening with exactly what they say is in the press release a day after the court issues the TRO, that's restraining order, that they are spending money to advertise it. Spiro was calling bullshit. And to be honest, that was my question because people then on the original video were like, oh, hey, there are updates. And sorry, specifically, Damon said that he's not doing that. And my first thought was like, okay, like, let's wait till he files. But how is that? Like, we all looked at this press release. Oh, hold on 1 second. Do you hear that noise? Hold on. Babe. Thank you. This man over here playing Call of Duty something like, sir! All of a sudden, it sounded like it was a bomb in my apartment. Our apartment. Anyways. Okay. So next, we're going to see all that Mr. Dash can sort of say is reasons unknown, quote unquote, reasons unknown. First of all, girl, scared. I was like, I know this man did not first of all, the pettiness in Spiro, for him to be so succinct to write out his pettiness, but also to be like, I'm going to go to court today and I'm going to stand in front of the judge and catch this razzle dazzle. The other attorney, the reason why we're not including that many quotes from the other attorney just was like, no, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. You could tell he felt shamed. He felt very shamed. All right. Okay. It also really doesn't make any sense what he is saying in his declaration. Spiro is somebody else in his declaration. I mean, basically, he concedes every single possible fact regarding this matter, which is why they are consenting in large part to the action. His attorneys consented to the action, said, okay, fine. Like, we don't disagree. By the way, I just wanted to know that we're not selling it. But right, first of all, it's the conversational sassiness of all this. If I was a court reporter, I would have been sitting there laughing. But right, it is one of those admit where you just can't deny what you can't possibly admit situations where he is just now saying it was going to be a hologram of an LLC interest of shares. But of course, that doesn't really make any sense. It isn't, hold on, I lost myself. Isn't something that would excite the marketplace. Rude. Isn't something that would be the first ever, most exciting auction in the history of the world. I want to know if he has wrote all this out or if he was like, I have been a practicing attorney for X amount of years. Boo boo, watch this. You could tell he had a lot of fun at work that day. And he was like, went home, was like, I had a great day at work. I over here and read this other man for filth. It was great. Ciao. Dory, we must have just crossed wires, LOL. Listen, it's everyone telling on everyone and then being like, but it's not me. It's not me, though. Chelsea's hot take. Jay-Z and Meghan Markle are the same type of person, ambitious and petty as fuck. Yes. I agree. So is razzle dazzle a legal term? Because I just know it from the lawyer solo in Chicago. It should be a legal term, and if so, we should grant that to Mr. Spiro because this has been quite a performance. I will say it's a good performance. Okay, I agree. That's why I'm no longer Meghan. I have to ask you guys something about Meghan Markle at the end. I wanted to do a video about social climbing, but we'll talk about it at the end. All right, sorry, y'all. It's so hot in here. This hologram is cracking me up with 10 pages of financial issues. Yes. All right, so let's continue into the middle-aged pettiness. And I'm only saying middle-aged, not to be ageist. I just find it funny because my hope in life is to just let go and not be bothered. Y'all see us snap back in the comments sometimes. I'm not there. But my hope is by the time I'm middle-aged, I'm just like, go on. I'm in a business. They have not gotten there, either of them. Very pressed, very bothered. Okay. Let's go to the next. Okay, so receipts and rulings. So remember, all of those exhibits that Spiro listed, he included them. He said, your old court cases, boo, I dug them up. It's public information, and then cited them as exhibits. So again, the liens and the judgments, I'm not going to go through that because that is a different type of level of messiness that I'm not interested in. However, the court cases, because they're public information, is totally fine. So this is the declaration of Damon Dash in the Brooks v. Poppington. Poppington is the name of his and Damon Dash studio in that case. So this is what, that Spiro was referencing. So here we go. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America and California that the foregoing is true and correct. Child, once you declare and you sign your name, it's kind of done. Hey, Judy. All right. I submit this declaration attesting to the present financial hardship that I am facing, which is why I have not been able to pay the deposition transcript costs. Spiro was not lying. Spiro dug it up and said, look, I have you admitting. So unless you're lying. Now, remember, recently, not too long ago, when 50 Cent put in records when he was trying to avoid child support that he had no money. So people often do lie in court and say they have no money. However, it will come to bite you in the behind if someone is trying to prove that you're broke. Just saying. This is not an indicator that he's for sure broke, but it is an indicator that he has said this in court. Just to put that out there. As suggested in the joint letter, I I not have, oh, I guess this is why you got to let attorneys draft your stuff. I was like, what? I'm going to read it as it's written. As suggested in the joint letter, I not have a salary or income, but depends solely on my business to provide me with some personal income. The personal income is virtually non-existent in recent times, except for some off-television project and one substantial monetary settlement with Lee Daniels, the Academy Award nominated director, which that is a whole separate legal matter. And according to this document in 2019, he hadn't gotten his money yet. So child, JT, I'm gonna need the links. They're there. Y'all can see them there. This is the message. It just continues to go on. More specifically, in roughly the last 6 months, which is when the remote deposition took place, I received no salary or distribution from my business and was primarily depending on the quarterly settlement payments I was supposed to receive from a lawsuit that I settled with Lee Daniels. Again, child, he name checked Lee twice. Said, Lee, by the way, if you ever read this, you owe me money, honey. So you not giving my money is causing me not to give other people's money. So really, Lee, let me pass the buck. This is your fault. Child, I need people to take responsibility for their actions. Like so much nonsense. So much nonsense. Kelly, I forgot about the Lee Daniels beef when Dame cussed out Daniels at the award show. Again, you know, this is not a courtroom, so we can use propensity evidence. He has propensity to cuss people out in places that he should not be being loud. The courtroom, award shows, apparently on television. Lord. Thank you, Kareen. Please like this video, guys. Too many people on this live for only 20 odd likes. Yes, come on, people. Also, my Bill Cosby video is running on limited ads. So like this video, help this video out, child. Notepad or I can't deal with y'all. I need my power to hold on because I'm enjoying his life. Oh, hi, no Nubian. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Listen. His entire ass was a stop it. I can't deal with y'all. But again, this is why if you're going to say things in court documents, you got to think the long game. If you're going to say something in a court document, A, it's a declaration, so it should be true, or you're going to get found in perjury. B, if you're saying something in a present time to get out of something else, well, it's a public document. The next person that you piss off is going to find it. So I would say the fact of the matter is that in 2019, he said these things. Yes, he did. Listen. All right, so let's continue. Thank you, CC Funk. All right, so let's see. We'll read like one more part of that and then we'll continue on because, child, never in my life have I seen somebody just be like, listen, court, I know I'm living lavish, but it's Rentley culture, honey. It's not mine. He said, that Bentley is a Rentley. It's not mine, okay? Stop looking over here. Never seen that, never heard of that. I don't have any money. Lord have mercy. All right, so paragraph 6 at the end. These expenses and obligations are substantial, and importantly, at the time planned deposition was going to go forward in Boston 2 months ago, the monies owed to individual vendors, landlords, etc., was roughly $100,000. An itemized list of the expenses being submitted separately. The court will note that additional expenses were incurred due to the pregnancy of his fiancée, Raquel Horn. So then he just added more stuff, child. More stuff. Oh, Lord. And then paragraph 4, that's what I meant to read. I skipped over. Due to the confidential and personal nature of certain documents, I'm sending copies of garnishment notices, restraining notices, expenses, etc., separately to the court to consider as directed. Well, there you have it, kids. I'm going to not to use him as the whipping post because that's not right. And I've said this about people before. Some of our faves, some of my faves are doing it, you can catch on, are living a life that is not in communion, in connection with their bank account. There's no reason for him to have garnishments. There's not. Like basic YouTube financial planning could help you. Come on. But hey, all right. Listen, they're all in it. Oh, yes, we're going to do that one. Once he files it, he's doing a class action. So I guess he's collecting people. So this is about Trump and his lawsuits against big tech. Once he files it, we'll definitely do that one. He hasn't filed it yet because I looked at it earlier. All right, cool. So let's get to that. So yeah, so here we go. I also really, enjoyed that game. That's all of it. So we'll see what happens. Basically, I don't think that this case from Damon's end is moving forward. From Alex Spiro's end, I mean, I feel like he has full intention to take him to task and be like, well, since you owe everybody else, you could owe Roc-a-Fella too, because Alex Spiro seems like the type of petty person. So we're definitely not going to hear the end of it from that end. I think Damon might just stop responding, child. But yes, listen, as much as I don't agree with Dave, and y'all know how I feel about Dave, but listen, Dave would tell them to act their wage. You can't be saying in court documents that you have garnishments and you have no money, but then you live in lavish. That's not how that worked. That's not how that worked. But yes, so that was that. All right. Hi, Brianna. Okay. Not coming at short people. Yeah, short people are petty. I'm short. Short poem. Oh, it's a short poem. I read short person. I was like, what's wrong with short people? Besides Napoleon syndrome and small anger issues. Short poem. A person will give you a brick, take from you, tell you what to make for you to get it back. I mean, yeah, but at some point, like we have to have some responsibility. So my hope is that, Alex Spiro might finish him, but my hope is that Dave is allowed to sell his 1/3 interest for a reasonable amount of money, because clearly that would be helpful, and clearly they don't get along. You get what I'm saying? Like, none of them know who actually is running this LLC anymore, because none of them deal with it. So it's literally just sitting there. They're all collecting residuals off of reasonable doubt. So like, let's just separate, Like, they just need to get divorced. They seem like they're legally separated, but they still have kids type of thing. Like, just get divorced. Just get divorced and just be done with this. I think Spiro, though, will drag it on for a second because now he's upset, which, I mean, shouldn't have came at that man. So yeah, that's what I have for y'all today. Updates, things that we're gonna do. So once Trump decides to actually file his lawsuits, he's doing a class action. So with class action, you have multiple plaintiffs. So he's probably going to send out letters. Like, you ever get those things in your email or like in the mail, like, hey, have you bought a Gillette razor in the past year? Blah, blah. No shade to Gillette. I'm just saying it didn't happen to them, but as an example, things like that. So he's probably going to send that out and be like, have you used Facebook and gotten banned in the past year? He's just going to send it to all the QAnon people, child, which they'll all sign up for it. So we'll see. We will see. Listen. All right. Well, thank y'all. I'm glad we got to do something light, Also, shout out to everyone on my Patreon. I appreciate all of you. If you want to talk about, colonization, history with a glass of wine, sometimes some of the episodes are just like very just depressing, to be honest, but it's good stuff. So recommend heading over to Patreon if you'd like. So yeah. All right. And then JT said, if you haven't seen them, go back and watch The Last Day of the Rock. Best footage. Oh, I haven't seen that. I might watch that because the way these two act, woo! The inner person that likes to watch drama and not be in drama would love to see the two of them in a courtroom, because clearly Dame will yell. And I just want the judge to be like, what? And then I want Spiro to yell back at him. That's what I want to see. That would be hilarious. That's not going to happen, but it would be freaking funny. All right. Okay. Oh gosh, yes, he did. Milo's definitely probably in that scene. And then Dare said, also, I wouldn't call it divorce. Jay-Z don't talk about Dame. Dame always got Jay-Z name in his mouth because that's what he's known for. I mean, true. I will say Dame has, to a certain extent, kept himself somewhat relevant, but child, mess. Just, I don't think this is a good way to keep yourself relevant. I think it would have been better to take your residuals, have a nice, quiet, rich life. Like, he could live a way better life than any of us if he didn't have these, settlements that he's, in his own words, facing hardship from. Child. All right, Nezuko, I love this case. Please keep the updates coming. I will let you guys know what happens. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. You have a good night. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And I will see y'all later. We'll see what happens. And last comment, Dame should have sat there and ate his food. Truly, truly.